So I know that we've spent a lot of time talking about the stigma outside of our community and how we address that. But I want to go back to what Jody's comment about the stigma within our community. And that's a huge issue, and so it is interesting to me, and it's actually something that we encounter at our center, is that somewhere along the line we forget, or if we are fortunate enough, blessed enough to get to have a job in this community, and then we forget that well, it's like forgetting where you came from, and so we lose patience, we lose that peerishness. I don't know what that's a weird word, but it's a terrible word. But we lose the ability to connect with people where they are. Yeah. Where they are. And I have said many a times that there are social workers that I want to kick out of the club. And so, but because that is a strong value, supposed to be a strong value with social workers, is that we start with where people are. Right. And so, but it's not just social workers. I'm also talking about peer supporters. Right. We need to remember to start where the person that you're trying to support is, and there's self-hatred. I don't know what term to use about that when we look at one peer, or we decide that this peer doesn't have their peer card because they haven't had this horrifying experience in the mental health in a psychiatric hospital, and therefore they're not a real peer. And it's like, what is that about? What? No.
I call that the Suffering Olympics.
Suffering
where,
Olympics.
Folks sit around and they talk about, this has happened to me, but oh yeah, well this happened to me and it was worse, and then it just sort of builds from there. And instead of focusing on the fact that something bad happened to each and every one of them, and they all have that in common, and they can all take each other's hands and lift themselves up, they're busy competing to see who is, yeah.
We in our community, we have so many opportunities where we can choose kindness, and we need to work on it. So how can we talk to the outside community, those so-called normals, if we're not practicing those things within our community?